It's checkering day. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nobody, and we are at the Untrained Unprofessional Workbench, and it is checkering day on the 1911 project. Yes, a day that has been long awaited. Well, I guess I should say long put off by me, because I'm really worried that I'm going to screw this up, and all the work that I put into the 1911 project won't come out the way that I want. And granted, I don't expect perfection, especially since this is a lot of what I've been doing is my first attempt at things, but I still want it to be as nice as possible. And plus, since I'm putting it out on the internet, I don't want to look like a bigger idiot than I already am. So, which is a tall order, but it's something that I am striving for. All right, so I have some things already prepared here. Got this from Mosin Virus on one of his videos, to where he put some copper wire there just to act as a stop guard. That way it doesn't go too deep up into the frame. So I thought that was a really good suggestion on his part. I'm sure he got it from somewhere, or he's just a genius, whatever. I'll give him props for that. And I also have the Brownell's checkering jig already onto the frame, and I'll put the part number right here for you guys. The other thing that I'm going to be using today is this 20 lines per inch checkering file, which will be, part number will be right there. So that way, if you want to duplicate this, you know how. Now, the reason why I'm going with a 20 lines per inch is because my mainspring housing is also 20 lines per inch. I figure, act like I do this on purpose. All right, so I'm chucked up in the vise. I've done a couple strokes already. Now, I will tell you that I originally had this rotated the other way, and I was having to do an upstroke with the file. It didn't feel very comfortable, so I swapped it around, and now I'm using gravity to my advantage, and it feels a lot more comfortable. Just something to keep in mind if you're attempting this, but wait until you see how this turns out before you take any of my advice. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm using the little etching on the file for the brand name as a reference as to which way I will hold this file at all times. So that way, any differences between the sides does not affect the actual job that I'm doing. So hopefully that's right. Sounds right to me. Now, I can tell you that this is going to test my patience, because this is going to take a long time, especially trying to keep this up against the guide and going slow. This is going to be harder than I thought. Not really harder, just more taxing. All right, so I've got the horizontal lines in. Definitely not perfect. You can definitely tell that I favor being right-handed and attacking from one side versus another. I got a slight little swoop to the down part over here on this side. Not so bad over here on the left, but I think it, for the most part, is okay. First attempt, you're going to learn. Maybe I just rushed it a little bit. But now I need to go ahead and do my vertical. All right, so I started doing the vertical file passes here, and I think I've run into the first, well, actually it's not the first issue, something that I should have done beforehand, and instead of just making an assumption, which we all know what happens when you make assumptions, that this was completely flat. Well, it appears that I thought I had this at the transition, so it would stop, the file work would stop before the transition of that curve. It's a gradual little bit of a curve, and it's slowly lifting up the file and causing some some weird chatters and some weird little checkers right there. So that this area might not turn out the way that I want, which I guess what I could do is always drop this down a little bit and have the transition start further down here of whatever doesn't look correct. So, but yeah, thought I would point that out and say, make sure you go through and make this perfectly flat before you start. Lesson learned. You learn the lessons by screwing up and then figuring out how to do it better the next time. Well, I've made it most of the way around, and there's some line issues I need to take care of and kind of even them up and make them look nicer. So, but I'm starting to work my way over on this side now and get down to the same place in which I'll have to clean up. And then I guess I need to clean up my little points of any little burrs and everything. And then I'm probably going to start from about right here and blend up into here, and which should work pretty good because that's going to be about the thickness of my finger. Hey, I'm not flipping you off, but that's about the thickness of my finger, and so that way that middle finger will have a nice smooth area to rest up against, while these two lower fingers will be gripping onto the checkering, which, you know, considering my first time and I knew I wouldn't be perfect, so far I'm impressed. But I know I did mess up in a couple areas. Have I mentioned that I have a lot of respect for people who do this for a living? Holy cow, you guys have the ultimate amount of patience. Alright, so I'm at a decent place and definitely have some issues that I've noticed that I will know for next time. But as for the grip, man, that is that texture is going to make a huge difference. So, but now I'm going to put some Dicam on it and chase every single cut with this little 60-degree file just to kind of clean it up, and then I can move on to blending this part and try to make that look better. So far. If you just happen to be wondering why I'm using this nice blue on here, Dicam, it's so that when I do a line, I know which one I did, and I don't just keep going back over it. So it's going to help me keep track of the progress that I've made. And if you miss something, like right there, you know instantly. Have I mentioned how tedious this is? So I went ahead and made a pass this way, and I just reapplied Dicam, and now I am doing perpendicular to that. And I'm just going through and cleaning up any burrs from the main filing. So now I'm trying to take out my lines that I put in up here, and going to try to blend that into the trigger guard here. It's the only thing that I can think of to make it look somewhat decent. But it's tedious. It's amazing how errors end up causing harder work. Or maybe it's not that amazing, it's just, it is what it is. Alright, so I got a lot of the blending done. Now what I'm doing is, since I have this little step down right here from the checkering to where my middle finger is going to be, I'm going to put a little chamfer on it just to take away the sharp edges, just to make it more comfortable. That way there's not a, hopefully not a hot spot when I take it shooting. Kind of taking off some of these sharp edges here at the bottom. I'll probably re-examine some of the lines as I go ahead and blend the rest of this once it's all complete, but I think for a first attempt, not too bad. Like I said earlier, there's definitely some things that I have learned on this. Let me get down on level here. Definitely some things that I have learned on this that I will keep in mind for the next time that I try this. So, but this definitely took a lot longer than I thought. And, you know, part of that is, you know, when you do things for the first time, you tend to take longer than expected. And, yeah, definitely enjoyed learning a couple of things on this. It was a lot tougher than I thought it was, a lot more tedious. So, but other than that, I think this is going to add a heck of a lot more texture than what it had before. Obviously, it was slick, but I'm pretty happy with that. I did take down some of these points on this because it was getting a little too sharp, but now it's just grippy. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully that was entertaining as you laughed at me going, man, you're not good at this. And I'd say, I know, I got to practice more, but that's the whole point of doing this type of stuff, is to get you out of your comfort zone and try and learn to do new things. So there we are. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.